Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the top 7 list that we did that one time with Injustice 2. Well, now at Temp 2's. Temp, you're the second. I don't know what I'm saying. Shut up. This will never make air. It'll never see the light of day. But for realsies, Temp 2. He is improved. He is the sequel that we always wanted.
Better and stronger.
Yes.
Uncut.
Okay, Injustice 2, MKXL, all these things. This is the MKXL Combat Pack 3 top 7 list of most wanted characters. Temp 2 things. I'm saying things. Okay. Anyways, let's get reels.
Let's do it.
Okay. So, what we're doing here is Temp wanted to do a top 7 list of characters for Combat Pack 3. Each to do our individual lists if I can get everybody wrangled up to do this. So let's start with Temp. And sir, what is your number 7?
Well, before we get into the actual numbers, I want to give a few disclaimers. This is assuming like anyone on my list making Combat Pack 3 is not going to get barred from MK11. That's always been a worry of mine. So I've always been very hesitant to put a character out there who I'm hoping will be for KP3. As much as this is a vote for a slot for KP3, it's even more so a vote for MK11, because I would hate for them to make KP3 and then just disappear from the Mortal Kombat universe forever, like other characters have, unfortunately. That's disclaimer number 1. Disclaimer number 2 is a lot of this is gameplay as well as lore. Some characters almost purely gameplay. So there's going to be some surprises on this list. One particularly controversial, but yeah, it's not so much always about favorites. But yeah, I guess we'll get started on that. I don't think I'm sure there's another disclaimer I'm forgetting about, but I can't think of it right now. Number 7 is Sindel. Do we get a picture of Sindel?
I will put up a picture of Sindel.
Sweet.
Just give me a second here.
Yeah, take your time.
Oh
While you're doing that, I will give some information about why I want Sindel. In MK9, Sindel was a footsie character with really good zoning. She was a very strong mid-range player. And I think had the top 5 had not been so dominating, Sindel would have been a much more used, much more viable character. I think she was actually very underrated. Bar none, the most underrated character in MK9. Like, by a lot. Maybe Freddy might be more underrated, but everyone pretty much knew Freddy was good. I don't think anyone really thought Sindel was that great. I think the only thing she was really missing was a good reversal. She had good pressure, great mid-range, good zoning, great meter building, and if you went with the right string, you got some really good frame advantage. You can go for some cool mix-ups. So, yeah, I from a gameplay, I mean, I mostly want her for gameplay. I do like the character a lot, and I switched her out quite a bit. There's going to be someone on my honorable mentions who I kept switching with Sindel, but in terms of the MKX engine, I just think Sindel is going to work better. I feel like the other character is just going to add more mix-ups and make the game more offense-based, and that's not what I want to do. I want to make the character way more interesting. I want to make the game. Sorry, I want to make the game way more interesting. And more 50-50 characters is not the way to do that, in my opinion.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I think some people are going to not want Sindel just because she was playable in the story mode, which hate to revisit this point again. But again, she had no X-ray, she had no fatalities. She had no, at least, balanced and tested combos that if they did do decent damage, it's not even a talking point. So yeah, this would be a new character no matter how you spin it. So I don't think that by any means disqualifies her or by any means makes NetherRealm. It doesn't mean they're recycling anything, and they probably would redesign her looks as well. Okay, so that is Sindel.
Yeah.
Do you got that picture up?
Yeah, I got the picture up. I could always share my screen if you want here.
Yeah, that would be sick.
Let's see. Share screens. All right. Well, yeah, I got the picture up, and my thoughts on Sindel. Honestly, I'm not too excited for Sindel. I don't have any desire to see her really in the game. I don't hate her as a character, but she was never one of my favorites. Even going back to MK3, I wasn't too big of a fan of her gameplay or just the way she looks. I don't know. It's just not my thing. I mean, I don't know. I've just never been super excited by her. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to her being in there, but I just think there's so many other characters I'd rather have before Sindel. So I could probably name about 15 to 20 before I get to Sindel. But yeah.
Man, just shit on everything I love.
No, it's fine.
Just
a
wreck
little.
it.
I mean,
I don't mind.
Not all of it.
Fuck.
Just Sindel. She's probably into that.
She was my second.
Look at that post. Yeah. She's just basically saying, "Shit on me." Just bring the
just
shit.
Bring it. Just bring it all on. Just
no
rain
umbrella,
it down.
No umbrella at all.
No, but I do like the character a lot. She was my true secondary. One of my happiest achievements locally was I got second place with her until I got beaten in grand finals by a Cabal. Shoutouts to Rav. But yeah, good times. I really like this character. When I was preparing for Injustice, I said I was only going to use Sindel before Injustice came out because I'd been using Smoke as my primary for so long that I knew a new game was coming out and MK9 was going to be phased out. So I really wanted to try someone different and really challenge myself because, in my opinion, Sindel has some of the most awkward execution in the game. Not the hardest. Scarlet would probably be the hardest character, but Sindel had probably the highest execution in terms of just awkward cancel windows, in my opinion. But it turns out that after Injustice came out, no one in San Antonio gave a shit. We all went back to MK. And that's when I won my first local. I got so many second and third places, but that's when I finally won my first tourney. And I won it in Winners Finals. I never lost a match. I never lost a set. It's a very proud moment for me. But I did that with Smoke. I didn't do that with Sindel, but Injustice was out, so who cares, right? Number 6. This is, I think, bar none, the most controversial one on my list. But I think why I picked it has a lot to do with how I see the previous games. I think I have a different perspective on some of the previous installments as other people do. Number 6 is Taven. And,
hold on 1 second.
No, take your time. No, get it all out. Let loose.
I feel like I should brush my teeth. No, you're good.
Yeah, you could do that too. There's no reason you can't do that. I actually think there were a lot of good ideas in Armageddon, and I think Taven is unfortunately a character who showed up at the wrong place in the wrong time. There's 2 reasons why people don't like this character. A, he's associated with one of the least popular installments, which I don't think is technically true. I think if you look at it from just the laity as a whole, I would say probably MK vs. DC is the least popular installment to date. But Armageddon was not what a lot of fans wanted, and it still has a sore spot with much of the fan base. So I think Taven got thrown into that design. Well,
I got Taven up there.
What the fuck? It looks nothing like Ben Affleck. Not even a little bit.
I got Taven. What's wrong? Why are you laughing?
But anyway, that's one reason why people don't like him, and I have a counter response to that. The other reason people don't like him is he's very bland. People don't like his appearance, but I think that is such an easy fix. I think the idea of a demigod is a very easy concept to make cool. I don't think it would take much. Well, let's go back to the first criticism. People don't like Armageddon. Well, I, for one, think not only were there some good ideas in Armageddon, but Armageddon is basically a fundamental part of the series now, because Armageddon is what made MK9's story possible. It is literally what rebooted the series. And they've already put, like, Daigon and Taven in the endings for MKX. So I think right now he is more in the fan consciousness than a lot of other characters. And I guess the way I would put it is I would like a more solid protagonist than what we have now. Because what we have now is Cassie Cage. And I think as a protagonist, she doesn't work for multiple reasons. For one thing, she's very much Special Forces what's the word I'm thinking? Integrated. She's very Special Forces integrated, and that does not speak MK to me. But if you think of the son of the god, who basically started Armageddon, which basically led to the whole reboot we're playing right now. I think Taven is a very important corner piece. And I think from a gameplay perspective, he's a blank slate. I think there's a lot of... You can do anything with this character. And it would be nice if we had like a standard Ryu-like character in Mortal Kombat. And people may retort with, well, we got Scorpion. That's our Ryu. Scorpion's not a fucking Ryu-like character. He may be the most played, and he may be the most vanilla character on the roster, but he is all about mix-ups and rushdown and just crazy spacing options. Scorpion is not a vanilla Ryu character, in my opinion. And I think that would be cool if we had something like that in Mortal Kombat. Maybe we do. Maybe I'm just not remembering a character who is both primary to the story and is very accessible gameplay-wise. Someone can think of someone else. I can't think of anyone else, but it'd be cool if we approach, Taven from that gameplay perspective. Just an underrated character. I think there were a lot of good ideas in Armageddon. The dragons, especially, I thought were very interesting, and all that shit went to waste. I think Daigon is a good villain. I think there's real potential there. So that's Taven. That's number 6. Not a lot of people are gonna like it, but that's the way I feel.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Taven. He's probably one of the most blandest things in MK. I was never a fan of him.
You just never run out of shit. You just keep pouring it down.
I'm just saying, like, Taven and Dagon, or Daigon, or Dylon, one of the 5 greatest rappers of all time. I just never been a fan of, like, when I bash 3D era characters, because, I mean, there's some good potential in some of the, I'd say maybe a third of the 3D era characters. Taven's one of the ones that I'm just like, like, I just don't see... His look is bland to me. Is his outfit, his look, his appearance, his gameplay. Just none of it really ever appealed much to me. So I don't know.
I don't think that's unfair. I think a lot of that could easily be fixed. I think there's a lot of room to do cool stuff with Taven. And as Razor always says, if we go by MK9, Raiden didn't really do anything to prevent Armageddon. If anything, Kenshi did more stuff to prevent Armageddon by killing Daigon with the help of Taven. I think that's how it went. I'd have to revisit those endings, but Armageddon is still, I feel like, a very important part of Mortal Kombat, and I don't think we should just dish stuff out because we don't like it. I think there is a lot of creative room to do some cool stuff.
All
right, cool. Number 5. Probably the least controversial entry on my list. Fujin. Not really a lot to say about this one, to be honest with you. I think the idea of a wind elemental character is brilliant. It's so weird to me that he was not in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance or Deception. He's a god. He controls wind. He looks really cool. I've always loved the design for Fujin. In all really iterations. Like, I think he's looked good in every game, including the current one. What is
What is what?
I just saw sexy shirtless Fujin.
Oh my god, what the hell is this?
Why not? Why not? You saved that to your desktop.
It says scantily clad Fujin by Lady Madcat. To give credit where credit is due.
Yeah, huge props, Lady Madcat.
What the fuck? Oh wait, there's more.
What the fuck?
Hold on. Oh no, that's Hotaru Beefcakes. Oh my god.
Let's pray one of the other 4. Really, yeah, there's is it 4? Yeah, there's 4 of you left. Someone picked Hotaru. Someone's got, oh, that's a brilliant picture. Dude, no, we're doing that. We gotta do that one, Cyborg.
Alright.
That one's gotta be the pick. Because that is probably...
It's by the same person, Lady Madcat.
Right, well, I bet she's mad. She went out of her way to make a sexy shirtless Fujin. I bet she's pissed that he's not in fucking MKX. So yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Okay. Alright, Fujin.
Alright. I wish I had more to say, because he is by far the most demanding character, at least as far as I know. And maybe to throw another disclaimer in here, there's no rules to these lists, like none. Like someone could, like Django or Cyborg may pick a guest character for all I know, and there'd be nothing wrong with that. These are literally, you could pick like a new iteration of Sonya if you wanted to. I don't know why anyone would do that, but that is an option. So there's really no rules to these lists. We can literally pick anybody, which is why I love doing them for that reason.
I don't know.
What is going on?
I don't know.
All right, but
Fujin,
yeah.
I was just gonna say Fujin's, yeah, he's definitely cool, a cool character. Like in MK4, he was fun. I am shocked that he has never been brought back in Deadly Alliance or Deception. You would think out of all those characters, I mean, they brought Bo Raicho back, they brought Lee Mei back, but not Fujin. For me, that seems odd that they would just leave him out, or just all the MK4 characters in general that got debuted in that game pretty much got left in the dust except for Tanya. But yeah, so it's odd that Fujin never returned. I mean, they teased him in Deception with his name was in the clouds or whatever the hell that meant. But and then going in MKX, people thought he was a shoo-in, and he was not. So yeah, it is a strange case with him. Personally, he's not in my top 10 favorite characters or anything like that, so it's not like I'm super upset that he hasn't been there, but he's one of those characters that you're just like, why hasn't he been brought back? So I'm definitely pulling for him.
Let's throw another disclaimer in here. Guys, this list is 100% selfish. Like, if we're picking characters who honestly should be in the game, Fujin would be number one. I mean, honestly, I truly feel that way. This is just characters I want to see. Right now, we're still outside of the top 4. And reasonably speaking, we're probably only going to get 4 characters in the next pack. I don't expect anything other than that. But I do think Fujin is long overdue, and I don't know what the fans have to do to get this character back.
All right. Your number 4.
Number 4 is Serena. Another character who I think is very popular. I thought had probably, bar none, the best cameo. I think her cameo was excellent, and I really like that they stuck to the original storyline of her meeting Bihan and reforming, because that is what made the character interesting to me. You know, I hated the fact. What are you laughing at? Oh no, dude. She was a very beautiful woman in real life, of course, but that photo is just dated. But it works. That's actually an incredibly representative photo of her, but and it's a good photo too. It very much looks like an on-set, hey, what's up, I'm sipping coffee kind of photo. This looks fantastic. This looks amazing. This looks like a dream roster if I've ever fucking seen one. So yeah, I think she had the best cameo. I think Mythologies, if you really trace it back,
Hold on, I just realized that Taven image mixed with, hold on, damn it. This image. He's just staring at his junk.
Keep it rocks, keep it. It's good.
Just staring right at his junk. Look at those abs! Oh my god.
Yeah, I can't believe that's real. I can't believe that's a thing. What's her name again?
Lady Mad Cat. It's on DeviantArt if anybody wants to go find her stuff.
Your passion is something to be lauded. Your passion is something I respect hardcore. Yes. I gotta minimize this. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to put like the mic tab over Fujin. This is just way too distracting.
Her face. It's just a smile.
It's a great smile. She has a pretty smile. Her teeth look fantastic.
It's wonderful makeup job.
But yeah, mythology is a very, very, very important part of the Mortal Kombat history. If you think about it, it is in many ways the setup for Mortal Kombat 4. And moving on, those parts are still relevant. You know, I think Serena kind of like Taven is a very important corner piece to the MK history. Well, corner piece is probably kind of strong. I don't know if that's true, but she's definitely important to Sub Zero, who is a very important corner piece to Mortal Kombat. And to be honest with you, another character. I don't know why it took this long. I don't know why it took us this long to see Serena. Great design, cool character. Networked to other very important characters. It's kind of weird that we didn't see her for so long. And again, I just love that they stuck to their guns and they made her, one of the. They made her team good, which I think makes the character so much more interesting. I didn't really like that moral ambiguity they were going for in Armageddon. I think this is a lot better. Or was it Mortal Kombat Advance? Or Unchained? Fuck, I can't.
It was Tournament Edition.
Tournament Edition, thank you. If there was ever a game not built for tournaments, fuck. It was on handheld and it was horribly imbalanced. There's nothing more anti-tournament than that. This is one reason why I wanted to do top 7, because if we just did top 4, which is the logical number for a combat pack, almost everyone was going to pick Fujin, which leaves 3, and I think a lot of us had an obvious pick, so that leaves it to 2 for some of us. I think Serena's going to show up on some lists. I'm not going to say who, but I think that's very likely. Great character. I think there's a lot of good gameplay potential for her, and if not, I think she deserves to be in there anyway. I think she's just really cool. And I love Mythologies, and Mythologies is pretty much all but forgotten, except that which is referenced in the future game. So, huge props to Serena. Love this character. Love her design. Her I don't want to say redesign, but her updated design in MKX looked really good to me.
Yeah, she definitely looks cool, and I agree that she is another character that I feel like has some good potential there. She has a great look. Some fun gameplay elements could be created out of her specials, so I think she's somebody that they should consider bringing back, and hopefully her appearance in MKX is a sign that maybe she'll be brought back for MK11 in an actual playable character role. Because, yeah, it is a shame that her only fighting game beyond Armageddon was that Tournament Edition.
Yeah, it's not awesome. It's a very forgotten part of Mortal Kombat of the franchise. But I will say this though: me and Razor do not necessarily agree on how to approach this character. Razor wanted to take more of a Vincent Valentine approach, where she can morph into a demon. I kind of want to get away from that. I want to approach her more like Ashra, where her redemption is sort of what develops her character, and they emphasize that. Maybe not so much in her gameplay. But I'm not really terribly interested in emphasizing the demoniac aspects of Serena. But, that may be an interesting split. MK bags. Huh. MK watches. I don't know what MK bags are, but it's weird that that's number 1 after typing MK. That's interesting to me. Okay, but anyway, distractions, yes. Are we down for number 4?
Sure.
Well, Serena was number 4. Number 3, it should also probably be noted, we're now officially into the combat pack. This means that any character I choose, Serena included, is who I would literally choose for the 4. These are characters I would really like to see, of course, overall, but these are the 4 I would pick, Serena being the first one.
All right.
Number 3, another very controversial one, Shujinko. And this is something I've kind of alluded at a lot on the show. I think from a gameplay perspective, Shujinko would be killer. I think there is mad gameplay potential for Shujinko. And I do like the source material for the character a lot, too. I like the Paimei design. I know, I listened to The Lost, and I know they did a lot of strange shit with this character that I'm not a fan of. But I think if you put that aside, I think it's safe to say most of the comic will be put aside, then yeah, I'm excited. I think the idea of taking the special moves, which were just special moves in Mortal Kombat Deception, and integrating them into juggles, I think is brilliant. If you could do like an EX Ice Slide and make the character airborne and then convert into like a Teleslam, I think that is the sickest shit on earth. And again, I think he's one of the better protagonists we've had. Because Liu Kang is good of a character. As much as I like Liu Kang, what's the story of Liu Kang? He basically shows up to the tournament and wins. I think as a protagonist, Shujinko has a more interesting backstory. Um, I think he's very unique too. I think as far as like the old man specialist, the old man master, I like that archetype. The only reason, I mean, Edge Master is, I don't want to say one of my, well, yeah, he's one of my favorite Soul Calibur characters, but I could never, what the fuck? I'm sorry, I'm seeing more photos. Yeah, and I could never main that character because he's not locked to a style. You're basically picking random select.
Right.
I hated how they did that with Keelik in the new Soul Calibur, but so yeah, this is mostly gameplay. As much as I do like the character, this is mostly for gameplay reasons that I want him back. And I'm a big fan of the conclusion of Armageddon. I like how Armageddon concluded, where just multiple characters sort of binding together under the knowledge that Onaga was going to fuck up everything. If there's anything I don't like about Armageddon, is that I feel like it does sort of downplay Onaga as the ultimate villain in Mortal Kombat. Let's be honest, Armageddon doesn't change the fact that Onaga was kind of like top of the food chain. The whole point of Armageddon is to show that the tournament itself was a symptom of a greater problem. That being the one being. I still think Onaga is sort of like the top tier villain in my opinion. So we found anyone for our boy Shujinko? Anything look good to you?
I had a picture, but it's not letting me get it.
Yes, do it.
I'm trying, but it's not letting me. When I click, there we go. I had to visit the actual page because when I tried to go to the image, it wasn't giving it to me. But we have acquired Shujinko's picture.
And what a great picture it is.
What the fuck?
It reminds you of like the cover of like a Nintendo game, like back in 1988. Like this is what the front cover art would look like. It's like a sequel to Rygar.
All right. So we have Shujinko.
And I can't emphasize the gameplay enough. I think the gameplay with this character would be so sick. I would also love it if they made him stance exclusive, where if they brought him back, he's the only character who can still change styles like he could in Deception. How sick would that be? Oh my gosh. And you can make his normals be like ice daggers, or like you can have the spear as a normal. Like you can make his chain combos. So I guess just kind of compile all the cool stuff from the other like Deception roster into his gameplay, and that would be so sick. And if you want to make the character more interesting, I think, a lot of the other guys want kind of like validation of the other timeline. And if you're going to bring a character out of the other timeline, there's only two characters I can think of to possibly do it. Cybersmoke and Shujinko. That would be amazing. I think any other character would be redundant, but those two characters, I think that's the best way to do it. If you wanted to bring back Cybersmoke, you would do it by making him an alternate timeline character who falls into the current timeline. Make the other timeline canon as a parallel universe, not as a rebooted universe. But Shujinko as well. Like if we got Deception Shujinko crossing over the current timeline, I think that would be sick. You have this character who knows all the things that happened in a timeline that's basically dead and non-existent.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think that'd be really cool. Thoughts? What do you think of Shujinko?
I don't like him.
Damn.
I've never
wasted no time on that.
I've never been a fan of Shujinko. I thought the idea of a character that just knows everybody else's moves is kind of like we already have that with Shang Tsung. We already have that with Shinnok. I thought Shujinko is just like retread of a character. I mean, obviously he knows it for different reasons. I like the idea that he's trained under all these people. I like the idea of the character that's, in Deception, the conquest mode where you go through and you're meeting all these characters. That was cool, but Shujinko just is a fool. He gets completely, hoodwinked. He gets bamboozled, had by Onaga. And I was never a big fan of Onaga as a villain either, so it's just like I didn't really care for Shujinko. He's just I'm not a fan of the idea of a character that's just using other people's specials. We already have that with Chameleon, like I said, Shang Tsung, Shinnok. I I just
Ironically,
yeah,
I
I'm not
rather
a.
like Chameleon too.
I like I like his look though. I like the Pai Mei look. I just for that I just feel like you could take a different approach with that. I mean, Bo Raicho kind of has that Grandmaster approach to him, obviously with a drunken aspect to him. So he's a bit different there. Was like you said, more Pai Mei in this case, but which is obviously the inspiration for Shujinko. But I don't like the idea of just this little idiot that grows up and then he becomes this kung fu master, but he's the giant fool that sets off everything and he's just using other people's specials. I don't know. For me,
I do.
I'm not a fan.
I want to say a little bit about that. I think the problem people have with Jujinko is precisely what you said. He's kind of a dumbass. I attribute that problem not so much to the character itself. I think that's a bigger problem of the writers didn't know how to write Onaga as a deceiver. I think that's the real problem. Onaga as a deceiver was just non-written. It was not even there. He basically just told Fujiko to do shit. He wasn't really this grand deceiver. And that doesn't just hurt Shujinko, that hurts Onaga quite a bit. I think if they rewrote the story, or elaborated on the story so it wasn't just a giant training mode, which, let's fucking be honest, guys. If they did that, I think Shujinko would shine much more as a character. Just make Onaga better, and by default, you make Shujinko better. Because, I mean, I don't think I used to say that Shujinko being an idiot kind of made him a little more interesting to me, but I agree. I wouldn't take that route if we brought him back. I just think we need to write Onaga to be a better deceiver, and everything else will kind of fall into place for Shujinko. But, and I mean, if we're looking at MKX, that's kind of where we're going anyway. It sounds like we're going towards Onaga in the next game.
I really.
I mean, well, part of me doesn't think they will because I don't think they thought those games were terribly popular. But if they're going to make a brand new boss, I mean, I challenge them. I mean, we haven't seen a brand new boss in a pretty long fucking time.
I know.
Even Blaze wasn't really new.
Yeah, I would like a brand new boss at this point. I'm kind of tired of the Quan Chi, Shang Tsung, and Shao Kahn. And Onaga's only been in one game, but at the same point, it's just like, I don't. Like I said, I wasn't a big fan of this idea of this giant monster that you gotta destroy relics to. I don't know. I just didn't like the way they implemented it. Not that he couldn't be implemented better. I'm of the mindset that any of these characters, if given another chance, could be done really well. So, I mean, it's not that they can't be done well. It's just, should we spend time making them better, or should we just go for an all-new kind of fresh take on some, like a character archetype or a character race or look or gameplay that is radically different rather than... Because obviously, if you redesign some of these characters, unless you change them dramatically, it's still going to have to follow a certain line. And for Onaga, I don't know. I'm not digging that. But yeah.
Well, I think it may be easier just to make a new villain at this point. I think Onaga, without all the setup they had in the previous games, would be really difficult.
I also just don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to retread that story. I mean, we had MK9 be a retread, kind of retelling of those events. And then MKX was something different. I'd like to keep going in that route. We had Shinnok now. Let's diverge a bit and go in a different direction here. We need some fresh stuff going on.
But was Shinnok not awesome though? Was
Shinnok
revisiting
was
Shinnok not a great idea?
Yeah, but I like the idea of giving Shinnok another chance. I'm not a big fan of going again with Onaga because once again it's just following that same line. I want new. Shinnok was an exception. I don't think we should just round it out with Onaga and then Blaze. I just, no thanks.
Okay, I mean, fair enough. All right, so we're getting into the nitty gritty here. Nitty gritty is such a weird term. Number 2 is Nightwolf. One of my favorite characters, just period. He's one of my top 5 favorite characters of all time, and he went up the ranks. That was not always the case. I've liked Nightwolf a lot ever since Deception. When I first played MK3 back in the 90s, I was kind of indifferent, but I really like his Deception redesign. And I think as I started getting more competitive with Mortal Kombat specifically, I really, really like his gameplay archetype. I think it's very unique, and an anti-footsie character who scores a knockdown with a special, and then has all these fucking these energy weapons and just kind of like chips you down. His zoning was horrible, and I think they would fix that. I don't think that's a genuine worry if they brought him back. But I think as far as characters go, he is one of my favorite gameplay designs. The only reason he wasn't my secondary, and I think this, yeah, MK9, was because not a lot of people were playing Sindel, and that kind of gravitated me more towards her. And I did like Sindel a lot at that time as well. I still do. She's still one of my favorites. She's a top 10 character, I think, for me. But Nightwolf is just so unique, both in design and in terms of gameplay. You have a lot of gold to choose from. You have a lot of golden choices.
I know. It's good.
You can pick the Annihilation one. No one's going to judge. No, come on, man. Come on.
Come on, it's good. It's a good picture of Nightwolf. It's a good picture of Nightwolf.
Denim, right? But I just love this gameplay archetype. He has such good footsies, and he shuts down footsies so well. He was overall a low tier character, but I do not think he was as bad as people said. I think if you nerfed the top 5, he would have been very dangerous. The only thing really holding him back was his lightning, and some of his chains had really weird hitboxes. People wanted 4-3 to be a low. I don't think that's necessary, to be honest with you. But yeah, just a very good character. I love this character. I love the charge. I love the shoulder charge. I think it's such an interesting way to do offense. And the shoulder charge is like the quintessential example of why you can't have back to block in Mortal Kombat. You will get bodied. You will get fucking bodied. So
Still laughing about Nightwolf.
No, I don't blame you. It's a little wolf. You just gotta practice, bro.
Yeah.
You gotta practice.
Neat New York.
Just gotta work on it, man. But yeah, much love to this character. I'm sad MK9 has the input glitch, and I'm sad that it has the balance issues it has. Because if it didn't, I would love to revisit that game and really take Nightwolf further. He really is one of my favorite characters. I love his anti-air. It's so fun. You can just juggle someone for hours, and it's the greatest thing ever. I like his design. He's kind of like the Ultimate Warrior. He's kind of channeling that vibe. And that was my favorite wrestler growing up. I stopped watching wrestling in 1993. So he was like the last thing I remembered before The Rock became popular, before John Cena became popular. I think subconsciously that kind of did draw me back to the character. But I also do like his function in the MK3 story. I think he is one of the more interesting parts of MK3. All the new characters in MK3 are very interesting to me. Cabal, Sindel is amazing in that game. I love how she plays into the plot. Even Stryker, to finally have the everyman in in Mortal Kombat, I think was very well done. Even if his design wasn't awesome. But I've always been okay with Stryker. I've never hated that character. But yeah, I've always felt Mortal Kombat 3 needs more representation, and I think Nightwolf is a very MK3 character. Thoughts?
Probably the worst character.
Oh my.
I'm just kidding.
Okay. Worse than Shujinko.
No, I like Nightwolf. I'm a big fan of Nightwolf. Not top 10, not top 15, I wouldn't say, but he's probably top 20. I like his gameplay quite a bit. I'm glad they brought him back for Deception. I liked him in MK9. I would definitely like to see him again. So he's someone that if he was DLC or in MK11, I could get excited for that. I've never been super into playing the character, but I do like the design of the character, and I don't feel like there's enough Native American kind of representation in that. And I mean, it's an archetype that's being filled, the Native American, and I just love the whole idea of his character. And they took a weird turn with his whole MK9 ending, but I'd like to see where that goes. But yeah, if he made the game, I think that would be really cool, and I'd love to see what they did with his variations if they, brought him into MKX.
It also kind of goes back to why I want Sindel in the pack, is because I want a character who's not just about 50-50s. I love the idea of that shoulder charge and how it affects the neutral game, how it affects your opponent's, their mental strategies, knowing that they can get slammed with that thing at any time. In Mortal Kombat 9, a lot of my opponents, when I was using Nightwolf, would just crouch without blocking. Because if you block, the hitbox will put you in block stun, but if you don't, it'll whiff and you can get a full punish. So that mind game, I think, helps out Nightwolf quite a bit. The only time it doesn't help him out is when he's playing someone so top tier that his charge just doesn't mean shit, like a Kenshi or a Cabal. And in Cyrax, although he didn't, you could still shut down Cyrax's footsies, I think, pretty well. There was so much risk. You can't afford to get touched by that character. Because not only can he do 100% combos, but he can fucking steal your meter, so you can't even break. So
yeah, let's not bring that name up.
No worries. That's Nightwolf. I'm a very big fan. So I guess now we're getting into honorable mentions.
Sure.
All right, the first honorable mention. Let's see if we can find a fucked up picture for this guy, Motaro. And this is
any picture will do.
Yes. and me and this character have a history with the graveyard shifts, so it's kind of a sore spot for me. But I moderately like the character. I think Motaro as a character is somewhat interesting. I do like the feud between the Centaurs and the Shokan, but to be truthful, I want him almost 100% for gameplay purposes. And I know there's been a lot of developer feedback saying Motaro is not realistic. We cannot reasonably put Motaro in the game. But to tell you the truth, fucking Capcom put Gold Lighton in Tatsunoko versus Capcom. And that character is like 7 stories taller than everyone else on the roster, with the exception of the robot from fucking Lost Planet. Let me read. PTX-48, that was what his name was. So if Capcom could fucking do it, then fucking, yeah, that's... Capcom's... Shut the fuck. He's making the dad ass face too. It's like fucking...
I don't know what face that is.
It's got a little bit of a redneck vibe in there too. But yeah, I mean, I think Motaro would be so interesting. I'm kind of being a hypocrite here, because generally, I do not like characters who break the rules of the game. I do not like characters who can bypass or shut down fundamentals. A great example of that is fucking Injustice Scorpion. I know people are still crying about that character, how he wasn't really that good, everyone overreacted. But that character did shut down footsies in a way that I think were unjust and made the game just horrible to play. I don't care if he ultimately wasn't top tier. He's still... I don't think anyone should shut down the rules of the game that bad. However, I think Motaro is not a character who's going to have full screen mix-ups. I don't think that's going to be a problem here. Another good example is Yoda from Soul Calibur. He breaks the rules of the game. I don't think you could throw Yoda. I think Yoda was absolutely ridiculous from Soul Calibur 4. I don't think we're going to run into that problem with Motaro, so I don't want to sound too much like a hypocrite here. But I would really like NRS to challenge themselves to make a character who does break the physical archetype. Now, it'd be funny if you try to cross him up and you just land on his back, you just start going back into stance. Like, that would be crazy. I'll be honest with you, I don't know what I would do. I don't know if he's going to have to, like, pose as Kate Winslet from Titanic so the hitboxes work. I don't know what the fuck they're going to make Motaro do so he fits into traditional hitboxes. But I'll get over it. Like, they'll find a way. Maybe he can't be crossed up, you know? I mean... Or maybe he can't traditionally be crossed up. I don't know. They would have to do something weird, but weird's not always bad. Weird sometimes would be really interesting. However, ultimately he didn't make the list, because again, I just want to see them do something really crazy gameplay-wise, and Goro was not that. Goro ended up being a very, very straightforward brawler, which is not bad. I don't think I'm alone in that. I expected a little bit more from Goro. Just in terms of gameplay. I mean, don't get me wrong, Goro is interesting. I like the idea of a really safe punch walk with armor. I think there's something cool about that. And I think that was well integrated. But Goro was not... He does not feel like a boss character when I'm playing as him or when I'm playing against him. It would be cool if we had something like that with Motaro, but he still balances into the rest of the roster, gameplay-wise.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Mataro as a character.
Oh my god, I can't fucking
He's my
win.
least favorite sub boss and probably top 5 of my least favorite characters of the entire series.
Shit. Do you want to go? Do you want to say why? Like, you want to
He's a man horse. Like, I'm not. I'm not into that. Like, I'm really not. I am not really into horses as a creature. And he's a man horse. Like, there's nothing. To me, there's nothing appealing about that hybrid. It's like. I can't think of many. Like, worse hybrids than just a guy's torso on a horse's body. To me, it just looks ridiculous. I don't get it. I don't get the appeal. He has that weird, like, cybernetic tail, which makes no sense. I don't understand. So on top of the fact that he is a centaur or whatever he is, minotaur, I don't know. Minotaur, is that what he is? You know?
A centaur. Minotaur is it's a bull.
Bull? Okay, bull.
Yeah.
Okay, centaur, either way, I don't understand where the robotic tail thing that shoots little laser ball. Like, to me, that's just. It's just like it's a mashup of random things. It's man, bear, pig. It's the. What the hell is that? Platypus? The thing that's like a duck.
The duck-billed platypus.
Yeah.
That would be amazing as a sub-boss. A giant fucking duck-billed platypus.
I'm just saying he's like a hybrid of all these random things. I mean, I'd
poison
rather have that duck ninja that was always teased. The silly, like, thing that was never an actual thing. I would rather have that than fucking this guy. I mean, how can you take this seriously? Like, he just looks like an idiot. I don't know. I just never been a fan of the character. I was not upset when they made him with 2 legs. I was not upset when Raiden drove him through a bridge and that was his only thing in MK9.
That was lame. That was fucking lame, dude.
I've never, he's just never been, even in the MK3 era and all that, he was probably my least favorite character on the roster.
Well, I mean, when you say stuff like, I'm just not into horses, you make it sound like a fucking basement fetish, and it's really...
It is,
but it's just, the centaur as a warrior, I think that is intrinsically cool. I think the idea of a centaur, the way it was executed here, at least, I think is really sick. But another thing to keep in mind, though, is, I mean, back then, when MK3 came out, no one knew who the sub-boss was going to be. So I just thought there was something really different and refreshing. Because Kentaro, as much as I love Kentaro, I wouldn't call Kentaro refreshing. I thought in many ways he was a better Goro. He's kind of what I wanted from Goro in the first game. So I naturally liked Kentaro quite a bit. Yeah, Centaurs, bro.
All right.
Yeah, all right. That's honorable mention number 1. The second of the 3 is going to be Havoc. And why did Havoc not make the list? So for one thing, his gameplay is interesting. The idea where he damages himself and uses his limbs is really cool. I don't think his gameplay potential outweighed anyone else on my list. In terms of characters I'd want to play and specials I'd want to utilize, Havoc just was not terribly competitive. He's probably one of the few people on this little segment that I'm talking about who I actually do like purely for the story. I like the idea of a Chaos Cleric. And I do like the design quite a bit. It just, in terms of playing Havoc, I don't think I would really get that deep into the gameplay for the character. I think Havoc is really more of a lore character. And even though I've for the most part, divorced myself from the Mortal Kombat lore, back when I did love it, Havoc was... I mean, I love Deception in general, so naturally I loved Havoc, and I still do. I still think he's a really good character. For gameplay potential, I just can't think of anything... What the fuck, man? What the fuck? How do you find this stuff?
It's by Lady Mad Cat. Of course it is. It's the same person.
Alright. This is happening.
I don't know why. 2005.
What?
She made that way back in 2005.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
It is.
Wow.
It says Mad Cat
That's
2005. Just soak that in for a bit.
just drink it up.
Yep.
I do like Havoc though. It is almost exclusively a lore thing though. I don't know if I'm terribly interested in. I don't know. Man, that's distracting, dude. Like Fusion was just hilarious, but that is weird. That is a little bit weird.
Oh shit! Forget this. Oh, look at this.
I'm glad the Havoc picture overlaps as opposed to the opposite, because. But props to Havoc. Even though he's my second, even though he's my second, I'd say on the list, I still want him more than Motaro, just because it's kind of like a Fujin situation. Like, where's Havoc? I mean, I think Havoc's kind of important, to be honest with you. But yeah, he is my second to last honorable mention. The final honorable mention is who
I like Havoc.
was. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, say more. What do you think of Havoc?
Havoc's cool. He's very interesting. I think he has a good dynamic to him. He's a very interesting character. He's got an awesome look. I love the flesh being torn off his face or whatever you want to consider that, and him just hurting himself like you said. I like the hooded aspect of his attire, and I think the whole idea of just somebody that's all about chaos is very interesting. And yeah, I'd like to see him back. I'm surprised he wasn't brought back for MKX. There's certain characters that were in the comics that I was really hoping would come back in MKX, because we haven't seen him since Deception or Deadly Alliance or MK4, whatever the case is. And I feel like Havoc is one of those characters that still has great potential of being a pretty popular character going forward. But yeah, I don't understand why he was never brought back, and I thought MKX was a perfect opportunity to do so. I'd be shocked if we never see him again, honestly.
Yeah, I think we will. I'm pretty confident we will see Havoc eventually. Maybe as MK11 DLC, but we'll see how that goes. I honestly don't foresee him making the roster for MK11. Because if he didn't make this one, I don't know if I necessarily see him in the next one. I don't think he's a favorite of the developers, but a little trivia on Havoc too. He was supposed to be Noob Saibot. That his secondary was supposed to be Noob Saibot's costume, but they ditched it and made a unique character. I think there was a similar situation with Darius. I think Smoke was supposed to have his own slot on the Deception roster, but he had to share it with Noob, and I think they gave his spot to Darius.
No,
So sort of the. Oh yeah, that went fantastic. And I remember arguing with someone at MKO a long time ago, and they were saying that's Noob Saibot, man. That's not a new character. I'm like, dude, we have the leak list from the ads. Like we had the data from when they were doing the promotional material. We know Havoc's in the game, so that's not Noob. And of course, I never saw that dude ever again once they revealed it actually was Havoc.
Yeah.
That's neither here nor there. Final character. This is the character who was really battling out with Sindel. This character was battling Sindel for the number 7 spot, and ultimately I gave it to Sindel just because this character's gameplay style, I think, is just already what we're seeing too much of in MKX. The final honorable mention is Scarlet. And, I mean, the character was already a 50-50 character in MK9 with a very good mobility. I don't feel like we need more of that. But I don't really want to redesign Scarlet. I think we should wait for the next game when the engine is not so mix-up heavy and really make her something special. But I do hate how Scarlet got shafted. I am of the opinion that if you're going to make a character DLC, they should go somewhere. Scarlet did not, unfortunately. And I think she's a cool character. Not one of my favorites, but I really would have liked more development, and now that Khan's dead, I thought this was a great opportunity to do it. And I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever see Scarlet again. I think for a lot of characters, she is pretty hard competition. So it makes me sad. I really wanted to put her in the list so bad, because I'm confident we will see Sindel again. I am not confident we'll see Scarlet again. And Yeah, gameplay wise, just a really cool character. I think overall. I don't want more 50-50s in Mortal Kombat. I don't want more ridiculous characters in Mortal Kombat. Scarlet was fucking ridiculous. I hated that matchup so much back in MK9. I don't know how good she ended up being. I don't even know if she was top 10. That character was fucking ridiculous to fight.
Yeah, I think she's a cool character. Kind of bringing up, the whole character that was rumored back in MK2 and then bringing him back. I think it's always neat when they do something like that as long as they can pull it off. I like the idea of a character that's can form themselves out of blood, is obsessed with, drinking blood and all of that fun stuff. She's very interesting like that. Gameplay was really cool. I think going from MK9 to an MKX, I think they could have just really expanded upon what she could do, what she has to offer, story-wise, gameplay-wise, with the whatchamacallits, the variations, all of that fun stuff. So I don't know if we'll ever see her again. Maybe she'll be a one-off character, like I expect Tremor to be, but I don't know.
I don't expect Trevor to be a one-off character. I think he's way too popular. That character, for whatever reason, is very, very loved.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see. And number one, no surprises, is Lee May.
You gonna say anything?
Yes, I mean, I feel like I've said everything on this character. I really like the idea of the tragic victim trying to overcome adversity. I like tragedy in general. That's what drew me to Smoke. Even though I always I thought even as a child, like, Smoke was my favorite character back in MK2 because I love the idea of a Smoke character. But characters with a tragic backstory always kind of speak to me, and I think Lee Mays was done very well. I like the idea of Bo Raicho taking her as his new protege. I thought that was very well done. I really think MKX could use a great melee character.
What is this saying? Oh my god!
We kind of have a pure melee character with Johnny Cage and maybe even Cassie Cage, but the difference is I feel like Johnny Cage is more traditional rushdown. I feel like Lee May could use more of her blade for, like, pokes and footsies. Like, it not so much my gosh.
I like that shirt.
Yeah, so I want a melee character who's more emphasizing footsies as opposed to just traditional rushdown. And Cage is what we have right now for traditional rushdown. Not that Cage is not a good footsie character, but I don't think he's a particularly interesting footsie character. I mean, he's got his is it his forward 3 still forward 3? I don't play Cage, so I don't know what the forward 3 command is, but I know it's still in the game. His knee, the Dizzy knee, named after Dizzy, of course. I would like a character with good footsies, good rushdown, but just multi-dimensional. That's the real gameplay attraction to Lee May. And I think the character's cool. I've always thought the character's cool. She's my second favorite Mortal Kombat character of all time. I was still super pissed they teased the character and she wasn't in the game. I wish they would be more transparent about that stuff. Like they're doing with Manta right now. I don't think that's great. I wish they'd get away from stuff like that. And I'm not crazy about her Deception ending. I feel like if it went somewhere, it'd be cool. But that was the final note on Lee May, unfortunately. You just can't get over that shirt, can you?
No, it's hilarious. The fact that somebody took the time to not only make this, but thought of it, and also use the Mortal Kombat Deception font for it.
Props to whoever did this. This is funny. This is good stuff.
This is good. This is by... Let's take a guess, because I think I see... Lady Mad Cat.
What a twist. What a fucking twist.
2004.
Man, she put out content quickly. That is the release year of Deception.
I don't know. It's crazy.
But I like her design a lot in MKX. I think it can use a little more flair. Um, Her face looks good, but it's angle dependent. It looked really bad at some angles, looked really good at others. So, this is my second favorite Mortal Kombat character. I would really like to see her back. I'd like to see an offensive character that's more footsie based as opposed to Cage, who's more rushdown based. Um, with just really cool specials. That's what I want. That's all I want. I'd be happy with any version of her. If they made her a zoner, I would make it work. I would make it happen because I really do love the lore behind this character. And apparently, I'm not the only one. She was the only character. I think one of the only few. There was only 6 returning characters from Deadly Alliance to Deception, and she was one of them. So I don't think that was by accident. I think she does have a fan base. She has a lot of haters too.
A couple of haters. Yeah,
she has a ton of fans, but she has a ton of people who do not like her for whatever reason. I don't know. I mean, I'll just go down the list of reasons I like her. Tragic character. She won the Deadly Alliance tournament. I mean, look where it got her, but she won. She was Bull Raicho's protege. I think she's a very interesting melee character, as I've said that multiple times now. I think she would fit well in pretty much any engines to date, whether it be old school Deadly Alliance or whether it be MK9 or whether it be MKX. I think her moveset would lend generously to any of those mechanics. So I don't want her to be a 50-50 character. I want her to have mix-ups, but I don't want them all to go into a full combo. Give her safe mix-ups that when they hit, they give her good advantage and more good mix-ups, or if she does, get a 50-50, it doesn't have to be a 40% blow-up, I think we already have more than enough of that in Mortal Kombat X, so it's that shirt, isn't it?
Why would somebody make this?
Because it's brilliant, that's why.
I know, but who thinks of this?
Good stuff to Lady Mad Cat.
And we need to find this person and somehow get them on the podcast. Why did you make this? Why did you make all these guys fucking... I would hope it's a woman or, like, a homosexual guy. I don't know, but the name Lady Mad Cat.
This could be, anyone. I think anyone would find this funny.
No, I mean, it's hilarious. They're great. I love them. And they're obviously good at making art. The idea of, like, all these guys, like, half naked, and then just, when it comes to Lee May, she gets the t-shirt treatment that says, I fucked Onaga.
It would be weird if a straight dude was making these. If a straight dude was taking all these photos, I think it would be a little weird, but that's what, not that there's anything wrong with that.
Absolutely not. As far as Lee May, on my thoughts on her, she was one of my favorite characters in Deadly Alliance. She's one of the characters I actually played as. Her and Cyrax in Sub-Zero, I think, if I remember right. It's been so long, but I do remember playing as her quite a bit. I enjoyed her Fury punches and the cartwheel type stuff. I really like that in her little sparkly blast thing. So I would be most interested in just seeing where they take her gameplay. That's kind of anybody from the 3D era. That's the thing that gets me excited about having them back the most. Not for a storyline reason. I'm just excited and interested in how they're going to revamp the character because they're probably going to get 5 or 6 more specials. They're going to get it's just new ideas, new designs. I like seeing an old character redesigned, so to speak, and brought into a modern era. Because we're talking, 10 years ago almost at this point? Deception came out in 2007, I believe. Is that correct? 2006? I think 2006. Actually.
It had to be 6, yeah.
There's
I think
always
it was
every
fall
2
2006.
years. Yeah, it's every 2 years. Or was it 2004 that Deception came out?
Oh,
Armageddon, yeah. Armageddon's
sorry,
2006. And
Deception was 2004, because that was my... Deception came out my fall semester, first year college.
Because, I was about to say, it had to have been if she made this art in 2004. So it's been 12 years since Deception, so I'd like to see what they do with Lee May's gameplay. And I honestly thought she looked really great in the story mode. I thought her design was really good. I liked that it was very... Because, I wasn't a fan of her alternate attire with, where she was basically wearing a bikini or a slave, Leia bikini type outfit. I didn't like that idea for her. I like kind of like the more subdued, kind of classy woman look. I mean, it's good to have variety. We have Melina for looking slutty-ish in that way, and that's great. She pulls it off well. I like the idea of this kind of honorable fighter in Li Mei, this Asian warrior that was trained under Bo Raicho, and she's very reserved, so she has more kind of like a kimono or battle gear or something like that would be really cool. Kind of like how I like Katana in DC. I like the idea of just having this woman warrior in that, that kind of oriental aspect. I really like that, and I hope they play that up. And I would love to see her back, honestly. She is a character that I would, if I had to pick 5 to 10 characters from the 3D era that I would want back, she'd easily make top 3 or 4 for me specifically. I would like to see her back quite a bit. Yeah, I think she, if they put her in as there's very few people that would actually get me excited, like appreciate the fact that they're being added into the game. She would be one of those very few in the. Just because I liked the character back then, I know you're a big fan of the character. I would be interested to see what they're doing with the gameplay, and I think she has a cool look. I like I said, how she looked in story mode, and I hope they make that her attire. I think it looks really good.
Well, and going back to the skin thing, I don't mind making characters look scant in terms of their or scantily clad, I should say, if it looks cool. Sometimes it doesn't work at all. A good example would be Flesh Pits Melina. I don't think looks very good at all, not even a little bit. And on top of that, she kind of had like a cocaine pirate thing going in Deception. I think it needs a little work. I would like to cover up a little more skin. Make it look cool. Don't make it come off as slutty. I think that's the goal. But the way she looked at MKX is perfect. I'll take that as a primary any day of the week. Easily. Absolutely. The costume looked great. Face needs a little work, but at some angles it looked okay.
All right. Well, that's the list. We'll recap it here. We have Sindel at number 7, Taven at number 6, Fujin at number 5, Serena at 4, Shujinko at 3,
T-Hawk as 2.
T-Hawk as number 2 and as a guest character. Serena as not Serena, but Li Mei as number 1, and then we had the honorable mentions of Motaru, Sexy Havoc, and and Scarlet. All right, cool. Well, if they ever release Kombat Pack 3 or going into MK11, then we'll see if any of these characters make the list. Obviously, if we're still doing this whole thing when MK11 rolls around in that hype fashion here in a couple years, we'll revisit something like this and obviously do our own wish list again, and that might change based on what we might receive in Kombat Pack 3, or just as time change, you maybe want different characters. But yeah, so as of now, this is what Temp's list looks like for Kombat Pack 3.
Yep.
All right, well, take care, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see if we can get some more of these things put out for you, and have a good one.
Stay safe, everybody.